Hey, y'all, listen. I'm like, did today ain't the day for my computer to be acting up? Listen, y'all, we made it to Wednesday. It's hump day. Happy Wednesday, everybody. I'm glad to see y'all in the building. Listen, we're still in prayer. We're not going to forget. We got to hang with our brothers and sisters all the way through this furlough. And I'm praying to God that this furlough ends soon. We had enough, okay? That the furlough ends soon, and also that the people get their SNAP benefits come the first. Okay, so we're in prayer with that. But in the meantime, people, we're going to continue on. We're going to have our fun over here, and we're going to talk the topics that we need to talk. Tonight's title is called No Justice, No Peace. No Justice, No Peace is the title tonight. Okay, Sonya Massey. If you remember that story, she's a young lady that called the cops to her home. Called the cops to her home and said, that she heard some noise outside of her home. Can they please come check it out? They came near. There was this aggressive cop who ended up powing her in the head. In the head. She lost her life that day. Her family has since won $10 million, but like her family said, we'd rather have our mother versus some $10 million. So today he was found guilty, but he was found guilty on second degree unaliving versus first degree unaliving. So her family says they respect the jury, respect the judge, but they still feel like justice was not served because those two charges, they come with very different sentences. First degree has a heftier sentence. Second degree has a lower sentence. So they're saying he could be out in like 10 years, depending upon what the judge gives him as a sentence. So time will tell. Sentencing didn't happen yet, but today he was found guilty. So I also want to talk about Famous Amos. Do y'all remember those cookies or know about those cookies? I used to eat them all the time. I have since cutting back on my sweet. I have a bad sweet tooth. Or maybe I could say had, because I did cut back. But listen, I'm the type of chick that you could give me something sweet and a cup of tea, and I wouldn't even need no dinner. But that is not a good thing. So I had to cut back on my sweet tooth. And to God be the glory, I significantly cut back. Significant cut back. Okay, so I cut back on the sweet tooth, but I used to eat the Famous Amos cookies all the time. Chocolate chip cookies, oatmeal cookies, those were my things, okay? So I used to eat those cookies all the time. And it was a black man that started this in a time where black people, couldn't really or didn't really start businesses. He ended up losing his own business to his own name, and his daughter is speaking out, and she's saying she's not speaking out to shame her father, but she's speaking out to just tell the truth. We talked about money a little bit last night. And see, even people that you think has all of this money, they're in this struggle too. If you heard Famous Amos, you would think, okay, this man has a ton of money. He left a legacy for his family. Not so. And I don't know if you heard Dr. Phil, who's been on our TV for years. He has recently not been on the TV, but he was on the TV for years. Well, guess what Dr. Phil is doing? Dr. Phil is filing for bankruptcy. Can you understand where I'm coming from? This money thing, this finance thing, it's a lot for a lot of people, even the people that you don't think, that you may be thinking they're worth millions. And listen, I don't get into this with y'all because the people get so sensitive when you talk about certain topics, but they're saying the rumors on the street, the breadcrumbs on the street is that Jay-Z doesn't have all the money that he claims he had. But I'm just going to leave that. I'm tossing it on the floor. Y'all can pick it up if you want to. I'm going to leave it there. That's all I'm saying. Is a lot of times when you see in different individuals, because nobody wants to tell the truth these days. The truth ain't in the people. But if they told the truth, they would really help somebody. They really would. If they told the truth, they would really help somebody. If somebody told you the truth, how they built up their business, the good, the bad, and the ugly. If somebody told you how you don't have to bump your head against the wall to get to achieve XYZ where they already achieved, it would be a nice thing. But a lot of people, they don't do that because they don't even want to tell the truth about their journey and their situation. But that is what it is. But I'm just saying, a lot of times what you see is not what you get. So we're going to talk about this Famous Amos story. And then I don't know if y'all remember this story where the school, there was a 6-year-old. You got it right, six. A 6-year-old. Now remember, he came to the school with a pow pow. This particular 6-year-old, he had initially an order where he couldn't even be in the school without one of his parents. Now, why his mother decided when she had a troubled son, and I'm not saying that to be mean, I'm just saying it for another word won't come to my mind right now, but she had a challenging child who had some issues. And she decided it was a good idea to buy a pow pow to keep in her home. You got to make it make sense, people. So her child got a hold of said pow pow, took it to school. He pow powed the teacher. Remember, it went through her chest. I think it went through her hand because she might have put her hand near the block. It went through her hand. It went through her chest. She got everybody out of all of her kids out of the room safely. And then she went to the office for them to call for help for her. She survived. And you know, sometimes when these pow pows are getting your body, depending upon where they land, the doctor may say, you know what? The risk of me taking that out of your body is too great. They got to leave it. They got to leave it in your body, which is super sad. Imagine walking around knowing that you got a bullet fragment or the whole thing still in your body. It has got to be scary. So that teacher, she sued the school system, she sued the principal, she's suing everybody, and I understand it. But what I don't understand to me is, I can understand suing maybe the parent in the school system, but when you start to individually sue the principal, other teachers and all that, I think it's a little crazy. And I also think that there should be some parameters on these civil suits. You're suing me for $40 million. I'm an ex-principal. Even if the jury told you yes, where is this $40 million coming from? Where? Where is it coming from? Well, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about that. And you know, last night I watched that. You know, I had to prepare my mind to watch it on Netflix, The Perfect Neighbor. That was the neighbor who in real life is a documentary. So in real life, this neighbor was terrorizing the kids in the neighborhood for years. And then unfortunately, she ended up unaliving a mother, and this mother had 4 children. That documentary is heart-wrenching. And initially, they did not charge the neighbor because it was out in Florida. And they was letting her get away with that stand your ground. It was letting her get away with that stand your ground. And then eventually, they ended up arresting her. And she was found guilty, and she's serving 25 years. I don't think it's 25 to life, 25 years. But she's an older woman. So 25 years is darn near most of her life. Yeah, it was so good and so sad. Flip, it was. And like many people said they started to cry, and so did I. And I was like, oh my God. And when you hear the son that said, my heart is broken, that was the saddest thing. And when they told the father that, you know, the ex-wife or ex-girlfriend did not make it, very sad story. Yeah, Florida is very problematic. But guess what? You know, New Jersey now has, I'm not there yet, but New Jersey has that now, and I hope they keep it forever. They have that if you are 65 over, because they don't want people to leave the state of New Jersey, because Jersey taxes are ridiculous. They don't want people to leave the state of New Jersey. So when you're 65 and older, they give you a break on your taxes, your property taxes, so that you can stay in New Jersey and not move away. So yes, this girl ain't moving to Florida. She ain't moving away. I'm going to stay in Jersey to the bitter end. Shout out to Jersey. I'm going to these problematic states. We got enough problems as is. I do not want to go to a state where they just totally don't like the brown people. I'll take a pass. And I know it can happen anywhere, but there are some states where it's more, you know, it's more problematic than others. I want to be where the people love me and where they want me. You Flip, you from Jersey? I got family in that area. Hey, Flip. All right. So listen, people, y'all know what time it is. I done talked enough. I appreciate y'all being here on a Wednesday night. It's hump day, as they like to say. Oh, come on, Flip. I love it. And you know what? Shout out to the aunties, the uncles, the grandparents that allow their family members to stay with them. I'm connecting back to last night where we got to get back to this family unit where everybody helps everybody. And is it last Friday? Or is this my second week? I can't even remember the dates now. I'll tell you the story. Maybe I'll do a story time and I'll tell you the story on like another night, or maybe like on a week on a Saturday or something. But I think it was 2 Fridays ago, or it was just last Friday, and this Friday is gonna be my second week. I had to have a procedure done. Yes, I'll tell you more about it. But thank God for the family. And when I say the family, I'm talking about my sisters, I'm talking about my girlfriends. Yup, they held a sister down. Yes, they did. Praise God. Okay. Cooked me food, brought me food, was driving me where I needed to go. Holler to the village. We need the village. Nobody can do this thing 100% on their own on this earth. It's foolish to do that. Help each other out. So let me shut up. I need a choo-choo in the chat, okay? All aboard, everybody. Listen, it's Wednesday night trending topics, and we got stuff to talk about. No justice, no peace. Sonya Massey, her family is emotional about this verdict, okay? We got Famous Amos, and we're going to talk about that whole principal situation. Let me bring the people on in the building. Hey, in my opinion.
Hey, Diva, choo-choo.
Choo-choo. Hey, Katrina. Hey, Julia.
Hey, y'all.
Have a good night. I'll see you tomorrow.
You're not on mute, in my opinion. All right. So you know what, guys? I'm gonna go ahead and start with this Sonya Massey case. Very sad. They did get a verdict. He was found guilty, but he was found guilty of second-degree murder versus first degree. And the family feels a kind of way about that. I'm not going to show the whole press conference with them. It's pretty long, but I'm going to show some of it when they came out from hearing the verdict. So let me see.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for being here, and you also paying homage and justice to Sonya Massey. Before I begin with some remarks, it's undoubtedly that I have to thank some very, very important people who are not here at this microphone, who have played such an integral part in the representation of this fine and great family with the storied history in Sangamon County. First of all, it goes without saying, it's the Massey family. You look at this strength and show of support from everybody, the community, the family, and friends, the activists. Thank you so much. It was a tremendous show of force, and we are so grateful. Secondly, the fiercest defender of civil rights in this country that I know, my brother, Benjamin Crump. Thank you, Ben, for everything that you do, not only for the Massey family, but also for our country in defending people's civil rights. The Sangamon County State's Attorney's Office. Wow. They delivered the message to this jury, and their message is the one that the jury said, "We rebuke you, Sean Grayson." That's what they said today. This second-degree murder charge, make no mistake, Sean Grayson is convicted of murder. He is a murderer now. This is not the exact outcome the family was looking for. They wanted first-degree murder. And when you boil this case down, It comes down to 4 words. Was Donna a threat? Sonya. Was Sonya a threat? The unequivocal answer is no. She was not a threat. She was never a threat. And that's what was proven in this court. The difference is that the jury found that there was some issue of self-defense. But his self-defense was not found to be reasonable, and that's the difference between the first and second degree murder. Sean Grayson, we disagree with this. He had the cover of that counter in between him and Sonya. He had the power of a gun. He had the strength of a badge and a shield. And what did he do with that strength and power? He told Sonya, who was holding a pot, I am going to shoot you in the face. That, ladies and gentlemen, is indicia of intent. And he carried out his intent, and he shot her exactly where he said he was going to. Not anywhere else, but right in the face. And that's where, as much as we respect the jury and this legal process and the courts and his honor for his instructions and his diligence, we still see it as a first-degree murder charge, notwithstanding the respect that we have for the jury and the process. Sean Grayson had cover. Sonya, 110 pounds in a nightgown, a foot shorter than Sean Grayson. God knows how much less she weighed, did not have cover. All she had was a pot of water, and she thanked Sean Grayson before he came in the house for watching out over her home. This was not just a random attack. He knew what he was going to do before he did it. He had the requisite intent. We have some speakers today. We have the family, and I'm so proud and honored of this family. And Summer is here also. Okay.
Y'all didn't even do what y'all just supposed to do.
Okay. We have Donna, we have James, we have Shantae, and Teresa Haley is going to speak next. Teresa is widely known in Sangamon County and Springfield for her advocacy and everything that she does for the citizens and the people of Sangamon County. And I'd like to introduce to you now Teresa Haley.
Yes, thank you, Tony.
Good afternoon. Today is a painful day for me and people who look like me, especially black females. As I said in Chicago, we can't call the police and feel safe in our own homes. That's what Sonya did. She called for help, you all, and she was murdered in her own home. This verdict was long overdue. It is not the verdict that we wanted, but he will pay. God will provide. Cancer didn't strike his body just to strike his body. He will pay. Sonya's family continues to suffer. Her children continue to suffer. And people say, hey, the kids got $10 million. What the heck is $10 million when you don't have your mama? They will give back the $10 million to have Sonya back. When we give it back? Say her name. Sonya Massey. Say her name. Sonya Massey. Say her name. Sonya Massey. So what we need to do back in Sangamon County, the home of the 1908 race riots, the home where President Obama announced that he was running for president, we have to continue to fight to change the laws because there's no justice. It's just us. And we are tired of standing alone. And we thank our white brothers and sisters and everybody else for coming out and protesting with us. But had the roles been reversed, if that was a black man at a white woman's house, he would have got the death penalty. Well, in Illinois, we got rid of the death penalty, but he would have gotten life in prison. Second-degree murder, that is not right. That is not justice for anybody's family, regardless of who you are and where you come from. So we're going to work extremely hard, not only in Sangamon County, not only in the state of Illinois, but throughout this country to change the laws. People need to understand that there's a major difference between second-degree murder and first-degree murder. I'm talking 40, 50 years difference in sentence. Do y'all know that this man, even though it may be 20 years, he can get out in 10 years? 10 years! Say her name. Say her name. Say her name. Thank y'all. Pray for the family, please.
Anybody who saw the video and thinks that it was partly Sonya's fault is inhumane. And for them to not get the life, and Sonya got life and death, he should be under the jail. I can't wait till
I'm her father. Sean Grayson should be able to get out of jail. My daughter can get out of that burial vault and walk out of Oakwood Cemetery. And I know that that plot that's waiting for him, he can get to it as soon as he can. And it wouldn't make me any difference at all. But there's a difference in this country when you have my skin color and Grayson's skin color. We need serious justice, not a miscarriage of justice that happened here in Peoria. We need to pass the George Floyd Policing Act. We need to pass the John Lewis Voting Act. We need to make the Sonya Massey law across the whole United States. Then no family in our country can go through what our family has gone through, because this man should have never had a badge and a gun. This man was kicked out of the service. He was in 6 police departments in 3.5 years. That is shameful. Shameful on Sangamon County for even having a person like that, giving him a gun and a badge. And his gun, he had a sight on it. He had a laser sight. So all he had to do was put that laser sight where what he said he was going to do. He said he was going to shoot my daughter in the face, and he did it. He shot 3 times, but even with a laser on and going through a police academy twice, he still only shot her the once, which was good enough. But you see, my Judeo-Christian upbringing tells me to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. So my joy here today is that I know I'll see my baby again. And whenever the sun opens and Gabriel blows that horn, we're going to leave here and I'll see her again. That's about all I can tell y'all right now.
Next, you will hear from Sonya Massey.
Sante.
You know, I don't really have any speech prepared. I'm fueled by rage right now. You get an officer that says he's going to shoot you in the face, and then he shoots you in the face, and you only get second-degree murder. So the justice system did exactly what it's designed to do today. It's not meant for us. But I tell you what, I will dedicate my life to dismantling the systems that created this problem. The fight has just begun for me. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Say her name! Sonya Massey! Say her name! Sonya Massey! Say her name! Sonya Massey! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now! Yes.
Are there any questions?
I'd like to know if the family is concerned about him getting probation.
So I'm going to stop it there for a second. The young lady, I believe that was the daughter, the young lady that wanted the defense lawyer to like get off of her. I think she was mad because she felt like they didn't do enough to prove, like, or to prove that he was guilty of what they said he was guilty of. Let me just go here. Yes, it is the case with the woman that had some mental health issues. So, ex-deputy Sean Grayson found guilty of killing Sonya Massey. Grayson was convicted on second-degree murder charges. I felt like, I didn't know this, but does he have cancer now? Because I felt like they mentioned something about that. Sean Grayson, a former sheriff's deputy, has been found guilty on second-degree murder, not first degree. He had previously been charged with first-degree murder, but jurors were given an option to convict on lesser second-degree charges, NBC reports. Other charges of aggravated battery and official misconduct was previously dropped, according to the news. Grayson and another deputy with the sheriff's office responded to she was only 36-year-old, Massey's home in Springfield, Illinois, around 12:50 a.m. on July 6, 2024. Following her 911 call, they appeared to search the front of her home and backyard before knocking on the door and following her inside to get her information as she sat on a couch, according to the body cam footage previously obtained by the New York Times and shown in court. When Massey, a mother of two, got up to remove a pot of hot water from the stove, she told the deputies, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus," before Grayson responded that she better not, and warned that he would shoot her in the face, per the footage cited by the Times. Within a couple of seconds, he took out his pow and ordered the woman to drop the pot she was holding before firing 2 shots at her. He then took out his radio and reported a woman with a gunshot wound to the head. Massey was later pronounced dead at St. John's Hospital, authorities said. Recalling this moment during the trial, Grayson testified that he took Massey's rebuke comment as a threat and pulled out his gun because he feared she was going to throw the boiling pot of hot water at him, NBC News reported. He added that he didn't use his stun gun because he wasn't sure if it would be effective over her clothes. "I didn't want to take the chance of the taser malfunctioning," Grayson testified per the outlet. "The taser doesn't work on everybody." During closing arguments on Monday, October 27, Grayson's attorney, Daniel, did not deny that his client pulled the trigger, but argued Grayson was legally justified in doing so, saying Grayson drew his weapon to gain compliance to make her realize that whatever she was considering doing, she shouldn't do it, CNN reported. The prosecutor, Mary Beth Rogers, told the jury Massey was having an emotional crisis at the time, but that was not why she was killed. It's because Grayson snapped, Chicago News reported. "I'm sorry. This is the last thing Sonya Massey said before the defendant murdered her." Rogers added during closing arguments per the outlet. Sonya's father, James Wellborn, previously claimed to CBS Morning that the family was never told it had been a police shooting and that they were under the impression that she was killed by an intruder and that police found her dead. We should have been comforted after this situation, Massey, Uncle Raymond Massey, told People last summer. "And then you hear misinformation and lies, and it's hurtful." Raymond also said Massey had recently bought a house and was looking forward to the future. And I'm sorry, the daughter was mad because the prosecution dropped the ball. The defense team is for his side. In my opinion, your thoughts?
This is sad, and I pray that man got counsel. I really do. I pray, because he don't deserve any luck. He doesn't deserve any sympathy from nobody, because he did this with the intent to take somebody's life. I don't believe this was self-defense. I never believed it was self-defense. I believe this man looked at this woman and thought her life didn't matter.
Mm.
And there are some great cops out there.
Mm-hmm.
But trailing with those great cops are some cops that have some deep-seated issues inside their head. And they feel like because of the color of your skin means that they can discriminate against you and take your life.
Mm.
And we got to put a stop to this. Because if you're going to protect and serve, then protect and serve everybody. Everybody's life matters. Not just the ones that you feel should be protected, but everybody. This woman called for help, and instead she got a unaliving sentence, and that's what's sad. And I feel for her family. I pray that she does get some justice. I pray that they will reopen this case, fight it again, and get first degree murder because that's what they deserve.
Oh, you know what? Okay, thank you. In my opinion, I just Googled it. It says Sean stage 3 colon cancer. So Grayson is dealing with complications of stage 3 colon cancer. He was charged with first degree murder in the shooting of the 36-year-old black woman in July 2024 inside a home. And then they said his trial date was set for October. But we know he was already found guilty. So he's dealing with stage 3 colon cancer. Katrina, your thoughts?
Well, hello, Diva. Hello, panel chat. That's his karma. You took a life. Now look what's happening to your life. And he didn't even have on his body camera. If it wasn't for his partner, we wouldn't have seen none of this. And
That's
he probably was gonna lie. You know what I'm saying? So, and then he's lying, saying that if he would have used his stun gun, he wouldn't have felt it. How many people we see them all the time? They stun them people with their clothes on. So that was a lie as well. I'm just glad he went there for that intent to do what he did. Because you made that statement and then you did exactly what you said. Why you just didn't shoot her in her arm? Pop out her arm? Why you didn't pop out her leg? You're just a liar. And they didn't get the verdict they want, but he already got a life sentence. And I feel sorry for the kids. And like the lady said, $10 million, with this economy, hopefully they are, got their money the right way, making sure the kids got it in a trust or something when they get older so they can have it and not have these people just go in there and run through their money. So when they do get older, they won't have anything. But yeah, he's getting his karma back. The people ain't got to do anything. His karma is taking over him already. That's all I got.
Thank you. Callie, your thoughts?
Wow, I agree. To have stage 3 colon cancer at his age, that's not normal. So this is something karmic or spiritual, whatever that's happening to him. I watched the body cam. I would not suggest other people to watch it because it is traumatizing. And I will just reiterate, there was nothing that was happening to make him do that. This claim about someone throwing water is sort of like a story that he pieced together after the fact. The water had already been moved. It was on the counter, and he was far away from her. So to me, that whole thing was ludicrous. Either he is some type of person that did this to see if he could get away with it, or he was on something and paranoid due to a substance. I think it was either one of those two things, but it definitely was not self-defense. Unfortunately, I don't believe he can be tried again. I think that would be double jeopardy. And I almost think that they should go harder on police officers because they are officers of the law and they are there to uphold the law. They should understand the law and they have more of a responsibility to not do these type of things than your average everyday person. So the fact that they get to go out and do things like this and catch some kind of a break, I agree with the family. I think that he should have gotten life. This man should not be out in society. He is a dangerous person. Like, this wasn't like some sort of isolated incident. There's something wrong.
Kelly, the aliens is back on your thing, girl.
See, I can't hear it on my end. Okay, let me go out and come back in.
Yeah, okay, go on and come back in. Yeah, you're talking good stuff. Yeah, you're talking good stuff. Go on and come back in. So he lied, and I think he lied because his body camera was not on, just his partner's. So maybe in the early stages, he was like, we could say whatever we want because my body camera wasn't on, not realizing probably that his partner body camera was on, right? So he lied because, like the family said, they got a call thinking the intruder killed their loved one. And in fact, it was the cop that actually pow. How could anybody say that because she had a pot that is justified that he shot her in the head is crazy to me. And not only that, she had a pot. She never threw the water. And even if she said rebuked, and you thought that was going to be problematic, you the one that told her to go over there and get the pot. I think that's why the daughter was so upset and felt like they didn't do their job, because it was like he told her to go take the pot off the stove. Okay, he the one that sent her over there, and then he pows her in the actual head, and she's nowhere near him. And like they said, the barrier was between them. But we did see the video on my channel already, Callie. It's very sad. It is very disturbing. And what was interesting to me too is we saw it last year when this story came out, and I didn't want to play it again. What's interesting to me though too is they claimed during this trial they showed that video twice. The only reason why I'm saying it's interesting, because in the Diddy trial, they showed the beating of Cassie about 79 different times. They slowed it up frame by frame by frame. They called him a monster. Not 1 minute did they call Sean Grayson a monster. And they only showed the video twice. They wasn't showing frame by frame by frame by frame. They showed it twice. Like the father said, no justice when you look like us. Callie, let's hear you so we can see if your sound is resolved.
Yeah, I was just gonna say everything that you just said. There was no question of self-defense or somebody resisting or something like that. This whole situation was very weird. And I said this before. I understood why
Kelly,
the
I
other
love you, girl, but
officer.
them aliens are still there.
I don't know. I can't hear it.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is.
Before you had said that you had your headsets on. Do you have headsets on?
Let me move.
Okay, move, because like it goes, okay,
yeah.
So we'll come back to you. Okay. Julius, your thoughts?
So when he first said that how he unalived her, this is from my memory. This is from his statement. He was threatened. First, he was threatened because he said, "I'm gonna rebuke you." That he said that Miss Massey said, "I'm gonna rebuke you in the name of Jesus."
Mm-hmm.
She was gonna throw the water on him. That's what he said. This man, I have to be frank here. I'll talk to the Lord and repent later. He went in there with the intent to unalive. I don't care that he has stage 3 cancer. I remember that video. It triggered me. If I was having a bad psychosis, either from an ADHD attack or autistic attack, you mean to tell me if I'm a even though I'm not in my right mind, if I say to you, I'm gonna rebuke you in the name of Jesus, still trying to comply, I can be unalived. No. This stage 3 cancer that he has is his karma. Because spiritually, I feel he went there with the intent to unalive. And I have to give credit to his partner, who was his partner. When he got up on that stand and said he was effed up, he had his suspicions that something was off about dude. And he said he didn't go by the blue wall of silence. He said what the dude said after he unalived Miss Massey and how he was acting. Like he did not have a care in the world. So excuse me for not caring that he has cancer. I know that's unchristian-like, but I don't care.
Thank you, Julie. I will also say this, The fact that if it was a mistake, for him to not even care when his partner said he's going to go try to get some the first aid kit, he was like, oh, it's to the head, she's gone, whatever. So if you didn't mean to do this, wouldn't you at least try and say, let's see if we could try to save her? But he told his partner, don't get nothing, because it was to the head and pretty much she's done. Sad, very sad. Yep, he said, do not suggest to help her, right? He said, he doesn't suggest that that's going to help her. Yeah, it's very sad. I understand why the daughter is upset. I understand why she's saying they didn't really get the job done. It's very sad. So I will keep an ear out to see what sentence he actually gets. Because it's going to be up to the actual judge. So we will stay connected to that particular story. So I'm going to go ahead and roll into the next story. I'll do the story with the video because the video seems to hang up my screen for some reason. So I'm going to jump to this principal that is under fire because the teacher said that she warned the principal that this kid, this 6-year-old, perhaps had came to the school with a weapon. I'm going to do a little reminder first. The actual mother of the 6-year-old, she got jail time. I want to say she got 2 years because she lied on her application to get the pow. It's crazy. So let me see if I want to do this one first. I have so many videos on this one just to give us reminders of this story. This is when the mother spoke. So let's
6-year-old who shot his teacher. She's speaking out about it for the first time. Lindsay Davis sat down with her and joined us with that. Good morning, Lindsay.
Good morning to you, Michael. Exactly 1 month to the day, a Virginia grand jury indicted Deja Taylor, charging her with child neglect and failing to secure her gun. When I talked to the 25-year-old and her grandfather, who now has custody of her son, she said she wants people to know she's a good mom.
While school shootings in the U.S. are no longer a rarity, what happened at this Virginia elementary school in January was shocking. The shooter was only 6 years old. The victim, his 25-year-old teacher, Abigail Werner. Despite being shot, she managed to get all of her students to safety.
Female victim, she's been shot in the abdomen as well as a through and through into the hand.
Amid the ongoing criminal and civil cases, the family of the first grader who shot his teacher has remained quiet until now.
Does he talk about the incident?
No. He talks a lot more about the day before or the 2 days before than he does about January 6th.
Shortly after the shooting, the family released a statement saying, "Our son suffers from an acute disability and was under a care plan at the school that included his mother or father accompanying him to class every day. The week of the shooting was the first week when we were not in class with him."
What can you tell us specifically about your son's disability?
So he has ADHD. Some are able to have it at a very mild rate, but he's off the wall, doesn't sit still ever.
And why did the school decide that it was no longer necessary for the family to be in class?
He had started medication and he was meeting his goals academically.
Had your son ever spoken about hurting the teacher, or was there anything any angst that he had against her?
No, he actually really liked her. I will say that week he did come home and he was talking, a lot about how he felt like he was being ignored. So he would come home and, "Mom, I don't think that she was listening to me. I didn't like that." And then actually he ended up getting suspended the next day because he was in class. He was trying to tell her something. And she asked him to go sit back down. He threw his arms up, he said, "Fine." And when he threw his arms up, he knocked her phone out of her hand on accident. And he got suspended for that.
Werner did not respond to ABC News' request for comment, but in a lawsuit, she says the student slammed the cell phone on the ground so hard that it cracked and shattered. She's now filed a $40 million lawsuit against the Newport News School District and Rich Neck Elementary officials, claiming they ignored multiple warnings about the student's behavior and concerns that he had a gun. According to the suit, the child had a history of random violence and that he attacked students and teachers alike, both in and out of school.
Is that description accurate?
Whether it is or it isn't, the school enrolled him in September knowing all of the past behaviors.
The school district released a statement to ABC News saying it cannot release information about a student's educational record. And last month, the district filed to dismiss Werner's suit, arguing her injuries fall under workers' compensation. The gun used in the shooting was legally purchased by Taylor. She says it was kept locked away. Her attorney would not say how the 6-year-old got it.
How did your son access the gun?
Nobody knows.
No one knows. Let me just ask this, and I'll direct it to you, Jimmy. Is it that no one has asked him how he got it, or you're just not ready to reveal how he got it?
We're not ready to discuss that at this point. Yes, people have talked to him about that. And I don't know that any adult knows exactly how he got the gun.
Was the gun locked somewhere? It was locked somewhere.
Mm-hmm. In April, Taylor was charged with a felony count of child neglect and a misdemeanor count of recklessly leaving a firearm as to endanger a child. Her trial is set for August.
Do you feel in any way responsible for the shooting?
Yes, of course. That is my son. So I am, as a parent, obviously willing to take responsibility for him because he can't take responsibility for himself.
Anything that either of you would like to say to Abigail Werner?
I just truly would like to apologize that, out of the incident, she did get hurt. We were actually kind of forming like a relationship with me having to be in the classroom. And she was a really bright person.
Deja faces up to 6 years in prison. She says she doesn't think that that's a fair punishment, but added, quote, anything for my baby. Her lawyer says that they're hoping to work out a plea deal. As for her son, they say that he's thriving and getting the treatment that he needs. They say, interestingly, he doesn't talk about the incident at all, that he talks more often about the days leading up to it.
Interesting. Fascinating. All right, Lindsay, thank you so much.
Well, hey there, GMA fans.
All right, so let me just see which one I want to show next. Okay. She did get over sentenced according to her lawyer. Let me just play.
Elementary school shooter will spend 2 years in state prison. Today, a judge called Deja Taylor's actions egregious after she was found guilty of felony child neglect.
Emily Harrison was there when the judge handed down the sentence. She is live now. And Emily, this decision goes well beyond the sentencing guidelines.
That's exactly going to be the case. A Newport News judge sentenced Deja Taylor to a total of 5 years, 2 of which she will spend in state prison. And the other 3 years are suspended at this time. The judge told the courtroom he could not follow the sentencing guidelines of 0 to 6 months because, quote, these guidelines do not take all the facts and history of this case into account. Deja Taylor stood stone.
Now, let me just say something here to give you some connection. He said the guidelines for which she was charged was 0 to 6 months in jail. He said, but he had to go beyond the guidelines because he had to take in all the history. That Sean Grayson had a horrific history. He got kicked out the military. In 3 years, he was at 6 different police departments. He had so many things on the record, but yet they added second-degree murder so that the jury could come with a lower murder charge versus the first degree. This is nonsense. But I'm not saying she shouldn't pay because she was reckless in this situation, but she should have got the recommended time, 0 to 6 months. Let's continue to listen.
Still, as the judge handed down the sentence, the judge said he could not follow the sentencing guidelines of 0 to 6 months because, quote, this is significantly more serious than lying on a form. Child neglect is the most serious crime, the most serious charge. Taylor's attorney, James Ellenson, says he is disappointed with the decision.
We think it was excessive. I think there are guidelines for a reason.
And I think the guidelines were adequate in this case, and I just respectfully disagree with Judge Papil.
Right now, Taylor is serving 21 months for 2 federal charges because she lied on her gun registration and will now serve this 2-year prison sentence consecutively to it. When handing down the sentence, the judge also questioned Taylor's remorse. He pointed to public statements Taylor has made about her son's frustration with his teacher, Abby Warner, and Taylor's, quote, misleading statements about where she kept the gun in her home. Ellenson says an appeal is possible, as he says Taylor's statements should not have been a factor.
There's a couple of things from a legal perspective. I don't know that he could even take that into account because that was not evidence that was presented in court today. So I think the judge is looking outside of what evidence had been introduced in court.
Teacher Abby Warner did not have a comment walking out of Newport News Circuit Court following the sentencing, but she read a victim impact statement on the stand. She told the judge, quote, this never would have happened to me if not for the defendant's actions or lack thereof. Now, while Taylor is going to be serving her time in prison, there is still a protective order between her and her son. She is still able to have supervised visits with her son, but she cannot have any criminal or offensive behavior in front of him. And it is entirely up to the discretion of the child's guardian, which is going to be Calvin Taylor, who is Deja Taylor's grandfather. In Newport News, I'm Emily Harrison, 13 News Now.
Okay, Emily.
So now let me bring you up to present date. Tara, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for the super chat. Always supporting and blessing the channel in a financial way. Much appreciated. Thank you so much. Now I'm going to bring y'all up to present date, where it's going to show what's going on now. But it's funny how when there's other people, they're bringing previous stuff to convict you. It's just crazy to me. So they're saying the principal ignored warnings that the 6-year-old had a pow before the shooting in Virginia of the teacher Abby. He has little pockets. So the former administrator at the Virginia school where a 6-year-old student shot his first grade teacher ignored multiple warnings from staff that the child had a weapon. The victim's lawyer told jurors Tuesday as her $40 million civil trial began. Abigail was left with a bullet lodged in her body after she was blasted by the Todd in 2023 at the elementary school in Newport News, where former assistant principal Ebony Parker allegedly brushed off claims by Abigail and 3 others that the boy was possibly carrying a weapon. Who would think a 6-year-old is going to bring a pow to school and shoot their teacher? Abigail's lawyer, Diane Tassano, said in an opening statement Tuesday, according to Fox News. Dr. Parker's job is to believe that it is possible. She made bad decision that day, Toscano said of January 6, 2023 shooting. Bang! Toscano dramatically told the jury a bullet went through Abby's hand, then through her chest. Doctors were forced to leave the bullet inside her chest because of a greater risk to her health if they removed it, her lawyer explained. But Parker's lawyer, Daniel Hogan, argued in his own opening remarks that Parker couldn't have predicted what happened. Parker, who faces separate criminal charges in the shocking case, resigned after the debacle. She is also the only remaining defendant in Abigail's lawsuit. No one could have imagined that this 6-year-old first grade student would bring a firearm into a school, Hogan said to the jury. You will be able to judge for yourself whether or not this was foreseeable. That's the heart of this case. Hogan claimed it was easy to play the blame game after the fact once all the evidence had come out. But the law requires you to examine people's decisions at the time they make them. The defense attorney also maintained that in school settings, decisions are cooperative and collaborative in an apparent attempt to diffuse blame. Multiple staffers testified about warning Parker about the child possibly having a weapon. Dr. Nina Farish, the director of human resources for the Newport News School District, testified that a few days after the shooting, Parker confessed that she was told about the student carrying a pow pow in his backpack just 90 minutes before he fired it. Reading specialist Amy told jurors she heard Abigail, 25, telling Parker inside the office that the boy threatened another student and was aggressive with a security guard at lunch. But Parker couldn't be bothered to even look up at the young teacher during the concerning conversation, she told the jury. Parker told Kovac to tell Zellweger that if she was worried, she could call the child's mother to have him picked up, the teacher recalled. Kovac then approached the child asking, "Can I have the bag?" But he answered no. No one is getting that bag, Kovac recounted. So Kovac went to Parker and told the vice principal about her own exchange with the child. Parker once again brushed it under the rug, Kovac testified. Well, he has little pockets, Kovac recalled Parker saying. Kovac tried to get Parker to take the claim seriously, adding that the boy could have hid the gun in his jacket pocket. Just minutes later, Kovac recorded hearing a gunshot and then running straight to the classroom, she testified. I walked straight to him, Kovac recalled, describing the boy with his legs kind of spread open, arms crossed and cocked. Kovac says she held the boy by the wrist and used Zorak's cell phone to call 911. A teacher's been shot. Kovac recounted saying on the phone, I have the shooter, send help. Jennifer West, another first grade teacher, reported to school administration and the school counselor that one of the students saw the boy with the pow pow and a bullet after recess. That prompted the counselor to ask Parker if he could search the boy, but the vice principal told him they would search the child when his mom arrived, which would be soon. Ross told the jurors. I wasn't going to check him without permission, Ross said. Zoraca lawyers claims that Parker did have the authority to search the boy. On Wednesday, her sister Hannah told jurors about how the teacher's sibling has been more reclusive ever since the shooting. She's just not that person that she was. I feel she's kind of lost her sense of direction in a way. She doesn't want to go out anymore. I don't talk to her as much as we used to, Hannah testified. She doesn't want to talk about things. She doesn't share them with us, the sister explained, according to the news report. Parker is slated to go on trial next month in a criminal case charging her with child neglect. The boy's mom, Deja Taylor, was sentenced in 2023 to 2 years in prison for child neglect after the boy took the 9mm handgun out of her purse. This case is sad all the way around. It is totally the blame game now. I don't know the exact answer, and I don't know if this teacher per se, not teacher, the principal, if many people told her, that is problematic. The whole thing is problematic all around. In my opinion, your thoughts?
Well, we got so many issues going on. I don't even know where to go with this. First of all, let's deal with the pow pow. Let's break this down.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody's aware of how you work a pow pow, if this was secured as she said it was, and he just happened to get it, the safety shouldn't have been on, and there shouldn't have been no ammo in it. So how did he do that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then let's just say she did have the ammo in it. Okay. The safety should still be on. It's hard to get a safety off. Even at that, a child that young being able to pull it and the recoil that it's going to send out shouldn't be able to do it twice. I don't. This case is so discombobulated. I have a child that is now grown that went through ADHD. I've never seen this level, and I had one that was really bad on him. We had to go through several medications to get him straight. But I've never seen this level. He had something else going on besides the ADHD to have this much anger inside of him. And now I'm wondering what's going on in the household. As far as this principal, there's so much to be blamed on all these people that I can't even decide who to start pointing the finger at. Everybody was talking about this, and nobody could do anything because they needed a parent. When you sent the parent home, obviously the parent was in the school with the class, going with the kid. If that was happening, why did we stop that? I'm telling you, he should have had an IEP, and he should have had somebody there with him at all times. He shouldn't have been left in a regular classroom with regular kids. Everybody knows that when you have these kind of disorders, your child should be isolated, smaller groups, because the more it's going to be more complicated. Their mind is already running 1,000,000 miles a minute. So for them to be around this many kids, that much chaos, it was going to only go bad. It's just, that's how it is. And they explain this to you. So I don't understand none of this. It's all crazy. I blame everybody. I blame the mama. And I do, for the lack of better words, I think that this judge definitely needs to be looked at. Because if had it been, this lady had it been a white woman, and I'm sorry to say this, but had it been the other way around, she wouldn't have got 2 years. I ain't gonna say it. She wouldn't have got it. But there's a lot of problems with this whole case. And I feel so sorry that this is happening to this boy and nobody's there to be there for him because he has to be struggling. Because even when they was talking about this kid, everybody's so nonchalant, like they didn't give a dang. And that was the sad part to me. Even I don't understand how nobody cares about this little boy's safety and where his mind frame is now. It's just sad.
Thanks, in my opinion. What is sad is I don't know how well her the grandfather is going to do raising him, because it all together she's doing about 4 years. She had 2 years from her previous case, and then she got to do 2 years with this case. So that's 4 years she's going to be away. And then even before she went away, so I don't know how they're going to handle it once she gets out of jail. She couldn't see the kid without supervised protection. So to go back, which I didn't say now, but it's from when it first happened. When you smoke MJ, they ask you that, apparently, at least in the state that she's in, when you're filling out the application to get this pal, and she lied and said she did not, but she did. It's a mess. Katrina, your thoughts?
Yeah, it's just a mess all the way around. I feel sorry for her son. Um, and she said that she started medicating him when he had the ADHD, right? So I wonder, was she giving him Ritalin? Because them drugs, I mean, they have those kids like zombies. And maybe he felt, oh gosh, it's sad that he had to use a pow to get the teacher's attention. That's sad on so many levels. I feel sorry for him. I feel sorry for her, but the only thing I'm mad about her is she should have made sure that her pow was secured. Because what if he would have took it out and pow-powed her by mistake? You know what I mean? So she gets an F on that part. Um, but she did take her son and try to get some help to control whatever he had going on. I hate this for them both. Because this child, he it's I'm done. I can't get it out. I'm done, Diva.
Yeah. Callie, your thoughts?
Hopefully you guys can hear me.
Yes, you sound good.
Okay, I have to turn some stuff off, but this whole case is very sad, and I agree with, in my opinion, this kid had too many problems to be in a regular class with regular kids.
Yeah.
I feel like everybody failed this child and this lady who was injured, and I feel bad for this lady. I don't know if her mental health is ever going to be right again. I had no idea that someone had already tried to tell the principal he has this with him. I had no idea when I first heard about this story But one thing that did stick out to me about this story is that the great grandfather is there. Not the dad, not the grandfather, the great grandfather. So where are the dad and the grandfather? Now I understand the great grandfather is his wife or whomever might be deceased. But where is the rest of these people's family? Like, are all these people deceased? Like, what is going on? So even before, I have to be honest, I had a feeling that the mother was troubled. I just had that feeling. Because I'm like, how are you? What are the odds that you're in a situation that you have no one to help you except your grandfather? If you've been making good decisions in life, you could have just had bad luck and maybe all these people have passed away, but it's unlikely. I don't know what to do with this kid. I don't know how to help this kid or this lady. I wish this would have never happened. It could have obviously have been prevented. And it's just a shame. I don't know. And then I was wondering, I was like, well, who's pow pow is this? And I think we found out that it was in fact the mom's. And I'm like, well, if you yourself have a child, you really should be securing that. I thought maybe it was a family member's, to be perfectly honest. It never even occurred to me that this was hers. I thought maybe this is a family member that they don't have kids or their kids are adults and the kid was either staying with them or went to their house and took it, and the person wasn't even thinking about that because they don't have kids. So for me to find out that that was her, I mean, I think she should be sentenced fairly. I really do. So if that is the sentence that anyone would normally get, she should get that sentence. And I do agree with, in my opinion, I don't think that if this were a black woman, if this were not a black woman, that they would be trying to give her a harsher sentence. I don't. I mean, we've seen people unalive children and all kind of crazy stuff, and they don't try to give them a harsher sentence.
Yeah, facts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Callie. 48, your thoughts?
Hey, Diva, panel, and chat. Okay, so you can hear me, Diva?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so for me, I blame the mom for everything. Because first of all, she probably wouldn't have even been able to get the pow pow if she would have never lied on the application.
That's
So
facts.
to me, it's all her fault. The child's behavior too. I also agree with what everybody else said. Like, um, if the kid is already showing violent behavior and y'all are thinking this kid is carrying weapons way before this happens, they should have been stepped in. And when the mother was like they were working on the relationship where she could come in and sit with her son or whatever, obviously that relationship wasn't working. And then for a 6-year-old, I'm just lost at like how, in my opinion, said it's a lot of like mechanics that go into firing a firearm. And for a 6-year-old to be, you just can't blame that on video games and Grand Theft Auto. It had to have been handled before. Even if it wasn't loaded, it had to be handled before. And I've heard some people say that, well, he shouldn't have even been in class with the general education kids. He shouldn't have been in any kind of classroom with anybody's child, especially now that don't put him in a classroom with special needs kids, with kids that are even more vulnerable than he is.
Yeah.
He should be in a program for kids with that kind of behavior. And I feel bad for the kid. I really do, because he's 6 years old. That's bad, but he is still young enough to be reformed, but he still needs to understand the consequence, like, of his behavior, even at 6 years old. That don't mean I think to lock him up, but I think to have some kind of strict, like, I don't know, court ordered counseling visits or whatever they can do until he's a certain age, because at 6 years old, that's extreme. And I don't think that they're giving her too much time. I think they didn't give her enough time, because when you fill out the application to have a firearm, it tells you the consequences of lying. So she knew her consequences.
Right, but see, she got her 2-year sentence for lying on the application. And so when he went to sentence her for being responsible for her son coming to the school with the pow, he considered again something she was already sentenced for. It's almost like what they did to Diddy. He wasn't in there for DV. And then you coming back, and when you do the sentence, you keep bringing up these DV and all the other charges that he was acquitted of. You can't be doing double jeopardy and just making stuff up. So for the crime that he was supposed to sentence her for, it was supposed to be anywhere from 0 to 6 months. But he decided that he was just going to give her 2+ years or whatever the case may be. So that's why now she's doing all together like 4 years and change. So
Okay, I didn't know that part.
she was already sentenced for lying on the pow, and she was serving that time when he sentenced her for the second situation, which was just messy. And that's why the lawyer was like, I don't even think that's legal. But see, when it comes to us, they could do all kind of flim flam and shenanigans, and it just goes through. It's crazy. Julius, your thoughts?
I do think that this young man, this child, can be reformed.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, I'm going to be giving grace.
Mm-hmm.
And y'all know I don't give grace way too much. I'm a Scrooge. I'm a hardhead over here. But I'm going to be giving grace. The school district failed him.
Mm-hmm.
The principal failed him. The mother failed him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what her life was like. But as soon as she had that baby, her life was over with and his life begun. But Diva, just for clarification, did this happen earlier this year or in 2023? I thought it was earlier this year.
No, that wasn't this year. It was 2024, I want to say.
Okay. See, I wasn't sure.
Mm-hmm.
This child still has time to be reformed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I do, like 48 said, maybe monitored court counseling. And hopefully that child's grandfather is fighting for that, saying, help me with a therapist for this child so I can help him.
Yeah.
But
go ahead, I'm sorry.
As far as that mother goes,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be blunt. She's lucky that lady is still walking and breathing.
Ooh, that's facts. No, that's facts. That's
Because
facts.
she could have been very easily, her family could have been very easily picking out her clothes, being in her casket, and a certain kind of flowers.
Yeah. I appreciate
So she lucky.
Yeah, she's very lucky. I will say I'm connected to the story to see how this civil case that she's suing for $40 million turns out. And I get it, because she has fragments from this thing still lodged in her that they cannot remove. Let me roll into this last story with Famous Amos. Like I said, I don't know if you know how many people just either ate those cookies, kind of remember this story, but let me go ahead and get into it. Do I have the right thing there? Yes, I do. So Famous Amos was my dad, but hidden underneath his sweet exterior was a troubling truth. So everybody knows Famous Amos cookies, the simple, crispy, delicious sweet treats you've been buying in little bags from vending machines or in bulk from Costco if you're a super fan for as long as you can remember. Fewer people could tell you much about the man behind the phenomenon, who lived a wildly colorful, dazingly complicated life. I should know. I'm his daughter. And that's a picture of her when she was younger with her dad. Wally Amos, my dad, was born in 1936 in a deeply segregated Tallahassee, Florida, a poor Black kid who was constantly being told by society he was worth less than his white counterparts. Against titanic odds, he went on to become the first Black talent agent at William Morris, working with legendary acts like Simon and Garfunkel. The truly self-made man launched his first bakery on Sunset Boulevard in Los Angeles in 1975, selling nothing but the chocolate chip cookies he initially started out baking to entice new clients. That was the dad in younger days. To go from high school dropout to being on the cover of Time magazine, hot new rich issue, it's a trajectory that almost impossible to believe. It's all true. From the fame, which included TV spots on shows like Taxi, to the success running a multi-million-dollar snack business, to his philanthropic work with the Literacy Volunteers of America, helping adults and kids learn to read for over 3 decades. And when my father passed away in August of last year, I wasn't surprised to see his legacy being honored across TV screens and news sites worldwide. But that's only one version of the Wally Famous Amos story. The other version is almost more unbelievable. It's a story about a husband who was married 6 times to 5 different women, about a father who had 4 children by 3 of those wives, but was often unable to step up as a parent, unable to break free of the generational trauma that came before him. That man, who once had the financial backing of celebrity friends like Marvin Gaye and Helen Reddy, also lost the iconic company he founded, spending the rest of his life chasing the fame he craved, often at the expense of those closest to him, including me, his only daughter and youngest kid. Wally Famous Amos was a man whose ego and impulsive decisions left him perennially in debt. This is a side of his life that only closest to him were ever really aware of. One that, as of today, I'm starting to shine a light on in a new podcast for Vanity Fair, Tough Cookie, the Wally Famous Amos story. Don't worry, this isn't some teary, self-indulgent, trauma-filled tell-all, just a bluntly honest, humorous look at a man's entire messy, wonderful, loving, infuriating 80-plus year journey, from someone who had a front row seat to both the highs and the lows. My life became as a cookie nepo baby fever dream. I was fortunate enough to be raised in one of the most desirable neighborhoods on the island of Oahu in Hawaii, in a pink mansion that had a 5-gallon tub of cookie dough in the refrigerator at all times. I traveled to multiple countries before I was 2. Sidney Poitier and his wife, Joanna, friends of my parents, were my babysitters. My dad seemed constantly busy with motivational speakers, cookie promotions, awards, and events. As a child, I was memorized by the glow of Wally's success and the way his truly captivating personality opened up the world to me. But there was a darker, more dramatic side to him that would come into focus as I grew older, a trail of shattered relationships and chaos that seemed to follow him wherever he went. To begin with, there were my 3 brothers, Michael and Gregory, from Wally's first marriage, and Sean from Wally's second marriage, ranging from 15 to 24 years older than me. They lived very separate lives from me and our dad. They visit Hawaii rarely and sometimes would go for years barely talking with Wally, who wasn't exactly making an effort to be a consistent presence in their lives. My mom, Christine, was wife number 3. The idea of us being one big happy blended family was laughable at best. My brother's distance from our dad and each other stemmed in part from so many decisions my dad made that prioritized his own happiness over others. We all loved each other, but we never really knew how to be a family. Then there was the money. Many people think our family is still part of the Famous Amos financially. Others think dad sold the company and wandered off into the Hawaiian sunset as a millionaire. The truth is that my dad left the company in the late 1980s with next to nothing. When he started Famous Amos, his goal was to open a single successful store with the $25,000 he had raised from investor friends, both famous and not. He had never run a business or given thought to what capital would be needed for expansion. And when the company became an overnight sensation, thanks to his savvy promotional abilities and his dear PR friends, John and Marilyn Rosita, he quickly found himself in over his head. As business missteps stacked up, Wally found new cash by bringing in outside investors, but eventually he was brought out of Famous Amos entirely and found himself on the sidelines of his own company. The company began to evolve into something Wally could not recognize, and so he simply moved on, thinking he could start a new cookie company and repeat the same success again. Sadly, that was not the case. And while Famous Amos continued to grow, Wally would go on to launch multiple new ventures over a 3-decade period. All of them would eventually fail. By the time I reached high school, I had been to foreclosure court, and I have learned the best way to avoid creditor phone calls. I knew that the phrase financial stability and the name Wally Amos were never going to go hand in hand. And as you read this, you're probably wondering, why the hell is this woman airing all of her dad's dirty laundry so publicly? Great question, especially if you consider I spent this past 20 years consciously and unconsciously running away from Wally and the drama that surrounded him. After 3 decades of a tumultuous marriage, my parents divorced in 2011. Wally followed that up with 3 more marriages. His last wife married him, divorced, and remarried him a few years later. The more I created of a life of my own with a husband and daughter, the harder it was to connect with him in a meaningful way. I would become more frustrated with my inability to control the situation that was Wally. Fear of me turning out like him filled to a desire to simply block him from so much of my life. We never stopped talking or loving each other, but the distance between us grew. The final years of his life were littered with conversations I wish I could have done differently and actions that still fill me with great regret. In February 2024, after probably battling dementia for several years, my father fell into a coma. It forced me to realize I was entirely wrong in thinking I handled the past 30 years of family drama perfectly and was in no need of therapy. But as a longtime journalist, instead of turning to a therapist, I got there. I promise. I decided to give good old-fashioned storytelling a try. Yes, this very public, brutally honest podcast has finally forced me to have conversations I had been avoiding. A habit, by the way, I know I picked up from my dad. With the support of my family, the project has given me a chance to laugh, cry, and dissect a ton of family drama with my brothers, my mother, my husband, and countless friends. But it is also an opportunity to ensure the incredible life my dad lived is properly remembered, honoring the good he did while not ignoring the costs he and others paid along the way. The 6-episode journey through my father's life and our family story has made me realize a fresh perspective can change how you view not only your loved ones, but yourself. For most of my adult life, I have gone out of my way to avoid people figuring out who my dad was or any of our family drama. It came with so much baggage that the idea of unloading that on anyone felt just plain insane. So it's a new feeling to be vocal about my life as a daughter of Famous Amos, hopefully in a way that will entertain and help others. And in his own way, I think my dad would be proud. In his prime, there was no one better at holding an audience than Wally Amos, finding a way for his life story to continue to live on with the entire truth out there that I believe is all my dad ever wanted. Tough Cookie, the Wally Famous Amos story, is out today wherever you download your podcast. I never forget one of the DeBodge family members came on my channel. That is her and her wife. Her and her husband. Came on my channel and said, secrets keep you sick or make you sick. That's her father. If she want to tell her story, tell it, because maybe it will save somebody else from starting a business and losing the business with their name still attached to it. In my opinion, your thoughts?
Um, it's a common story and a sad one at the same time.
Mhm.
So many people start a business and don't know what they're doing and end up losing it to the same people that they brought in to help them and
Mm.
with nothing. This should be a story to everybody that want to open their own business to know the business before you open it.
Mhm. Mhm.
And vet the people that you're gonna have investing in your business. It's sad. Nobody's parent is perfect. It's not a handbook on parenting. We all make mistakes as parents. And I think we feel guilt from the mistakes that we make. We beat ourselves up pretty bad for the mistakes that we make.
Yes.
I never think a good parent intends to intentionally harm their kids. And if this is what she had to do to get it off her chest, I'm proud that she was able to get it off her chest. For me, I grew up on Famous Amos cookies. Love the chocolate chip cookies. I used to buy the great big old bag of them and would sit there, and my mom would have to tell me, "You're not gonna eat that whole bag," and I'd be like, "Okay," and I was still eating them. So for me, I'm proud that her father lunched this so I could have those memories. You know what I'm saying? Because my mom is not here, so I'm glad that I got those memories.
Thank you, in my opinion. Katrina, your thoughts?
I say this all the time. If you don't have the millionaire mindset, you're not gonna stay being a millionaire anyway.
Mm.
Um, and she's getting this off her chest and stuff right now, and I get it, but didn't they take enough from your dad? With the business or whatsoever. I mean, I understand what she's doing now, but let your dad rest in peace. And I know she's doing it to, relieve herself or something like that. But really and truly, we didn't have to know this. Um, and I'm not saying what she did was wrong. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying, we didn't have to know this. You could have wrote a letter to yourself and got your grief out. Um, and another thing, Diva, not to go back to the other story. I'm sorry, I'm doing this, but my thing is, with what child? Who showed this child to use a pow pow to get attention? Because he was looking for attention, and that's the only way he felt like he can get the attention from the teacher is to show the pow pow. So, did his mom do that to somebody to show the pow? To make him listen to understand what she was saying? It's just weird. But anyway, with Famous Amos, it's I like I said, rest in peace. Your cookies are good. Um, I'm sorry for I'm sorry for his daughter going through the stuff that she went through. But let him rest in peace. That's all I got.
Callie, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard a little bit of this story here and there throughout the years. I have to say it is interesting. And I wish I could say that someone is going to read this story and take it as a cautionary tale that they can't live like this and be able to build generational wealth and businesses they can pass on to their kids. But I kind of feel like everybody has blinders on when it comes to this sort of thing. And I mean, I don't see anyone who has lived their life this way unless they had an absorbent amount of money that in the end didn't end up broke, or either if they didn't, their kids did, because this destroys your life. You can't get married 5 and 6 times. You can't have 5 and 6 baby mamas and be a successful person. This is not a successful way to live life.
Mm-hmm.
I do wonder, only because I'm currently researching on something on the phenomenon of using either the image of Black people or the idea of Black ownership to sell products, even going all the way back to the 1700s. It's very strange, but this is almost like some kind of weird marketing tool. So I do wonder if there was something that was going on with this business from the very beginning where it never really was his. I kind of wonder that. I don't know. We probably will never know because he is not here, and whoever was the investors, they're not going to tell us. But I kind of wonder if there wasn't a choice. Like it wasn't his business. Like he couldn't keep it. I kind of wonder if that's what was truly going on, because a lot of these people that we think own things, they really don't. They're in some sort of licensing deal. So I don't know. I mean, of course, I live in LA. This is, one of those historic Los Angeles stories of the famous Amos cookies. We got we got the cupcake lady. It's a bunch of people like him around this city. So I'm sorry to hear that things went this way, but I do think it's an interesting story. And I also think that, this is the story of her family. She has the right to tell her story, and she probably need money. Let's just be real. I would rather her tell it than some other person come along and steal it from her and she don't get nothing from it. So yeah, I'm sorry to hear that though.
Yeah. I feel like she's kind of telling it from her perspective, and just, there's a lot of people that have an absentee father or mother or parent. I do feel like she's not telling her story in a malicious way. I think she's trying to come at it from another angle. I really do. 48, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that how can I say it? Well, I mean, I appreciate her telling her story, but I also think that, like, from hearing the stuff that you was reading, that she should also take into consideration the time that her dad like grew up, some of like his quirkiness and being absent and stuff like that. And he was also like part of the entertainment world a little bit too. So like also like trying to fit into that world, and like I think in my opinion said trusting the wrong people, thinking that all of these people are my friends, they have my best interests at heart. So I think she should give her dad some grace, because and I'm gonna give her some grace too, because I think that she does need the money. And just like Callie said, it is an interesting story, but I don't think that it's like something that we haven't heard. I'm glad that she hasn't taken the like a negative approach about it. But what I got from the story was when you read that excerpt out of the story, and I was like, wow, I looked him up. I was like, dang, he was born in 1936. So he's been through some things, he's
Right.
probably had to finesse himself into a lot of rooms. So like rest in peace to Mr. Amos's cookies are the bomb. I still get them. It's news to me that it's not still black owned. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So I'm gonna be looking for another black owned cookie. Y'all know some? Drop them in the chat. But yeah, that's all I got, Diva.
Yeah, it's but you know what they don't want us to know, like a lot of these brands that you might think are black owned, they don't want us to know that they're not, right? There are some products that are in the stores that are for black hair care, but they're not black owned. Your mind would just make you think they are, but they're not. I think that Cantor, I can't, the name is slipping my mind right now. I think it's one of them. Julius, your thoughts?
Ooh, I assumed I probably had this man's cookies, but his name doesn't ring a bell. But his daughter had her experience,
Mm-hmm.
and she deserves to share her story.
I like.
That's where I'm gonna leave it with that.
I appreciate you. I accept that. I do accept that. She deserved this to tell her story. And like I said, I'm gonna go back to I'm kind of okay with her sharing, because I don't feel she's sharing like from a negative angle, right? She said we didn't know how to love each other. We couldn't be a blended family because my brothers, they was in Hawaii, and her brothers just never came to Hawaii. And they was from different wives. It seemed like, I think the last 3 wives didn't have kids, but the first 3 wives had his kids, right? And her father was chasing a dream. And you see, she also said when he lost his company, he just thought he can just go ahead and rebuild again. But I'm sure part of him losing Famous Amos, he couldn't come out with a competitive cookie because it probably was in the contract that you can't use that same recipe and come out with a competitive cookie. And he probably couldn't even use his name to do another cookie, because that's what happens when, unfortunately, you lose your own name. Recently, what's the girl name? She got her company back, the Slutty Vegan. She lost her company for a minute, and she was able to, thank you, Tyler. It's called a non-compete clause. She lost her company for a minute, and she ended up getting it back, but she had to pay a hefty penny to get Slutty Vegan back. And I also think that when you are new to this business and you grow too fast and you start opening all of these locations, the smartest thing I always, I never was one that able to do my own hair. Like when I have more hair on my head and so forth and so on, now I just go to a barber. But before that, I went to all salons, and I never forget one of the people that used to do my hair. He actually purchased his own location, his own commercial property, because the people that he worked for before buying his own property and opening his own salon, he watched them and he understood how the landlord would just raise their rent like every time the lease was up to an astronomical price. And so when you have a business like a salon and you have these fixtures that need to be in place, and all your customers are used to coming to that location, so forth and so on, it's not going to be so easy for you to just go, let me go rent somewhere else that's going to charge me cheaper, because they know they kind of got your back up against the wall because all of your fixtures are there, your customers know where you are, whatever. So he knew before he opened his business that he was going to buy his own location, and not rent the commercial property. He was buying a commercial property so that he would be in control over at least that piece of it, which I thought was extremely intelligent and smart. So there's so many things. I think, to me, at the very least, when you're going to have a business, you should know more about that business, and probably at least for maybe a year or 6 months, work for somebody else in that business so you can know how to model and work yours. That's why I said from the beginning that what's the name from the Real Housewives of Atlanta, Kenya Moore, her opening a physical salon and she never touched nobody here and she doesn't have a cosmetology license. I thought that was a recipe for disaster from the door. Because I'm like, first of all, when it comes to people here, they go to well-known salons that they know when they touch their head that all is going to be well. People are very emotional about their hair. But listen, guys, I appreciate y'all. We've been doing a lot of overtime lately, but I appreciate y'all. Thank you so much for coming through. It's hump day. Y'all know the routine. If you didn't hit that like button on the way in, hit it on the way out. This Sonya Massey case, I'm going to stay connected to see how much time they actually give him. I think his sentencing, it might be the first week in November. So we'll stay connected to that. I'll stay connected to this principal story to see how the teacher makes out with her civil suit. Do I think that this teacher should get something in a civil suit? Absolutely. Do I think she should get money from just this individual principal? Absolutely not. I think this whole school dropped the ball, like many of the panelists said. And at the end of the day, if the mother, back in the day, they used to say, figure out the root cause of the problem, and then you can fix the problem. The root cause is that mother should have never had a pow-pow. And if she did have a pow-pow, it should have been locked away where her son couldn't get it. But it was determined that he simply took it out of her purse. That's not locked away. So the mom is the root cause of this problem, the catalyst. And even though the principal, according to many, said drop the ball, I think the first onus is on the mother. The mother's doing her jail time. And yes, should this woman get some money from the school system? Yes. 40 million, I can't determine that, but I think it's a lot. And I don't think she should be getting the money from an individual principal. They should have had metal detectors at that school, and they knew that kid was problematic. and they let that kid in the school. But listen, guys, thanks for being here. I'll stay connected. Chat with me. I'll chat back. I'll see you on the next video.